So, recording started.
What's up, guys? I went ahead and started the event, so you should have some more people flooding in any moment now as they get these notifications. Welcome in, everybody. I'm excited to tune in myself. The GOAT giving us his fucking lessons on how he is getting all of these phenomenal plays. I'll be honest, I've all 4 bangers this year than I have.
Thank you for the introduction. Yeah, I'm excited to show everyone like what I look for. I've just been waiting for the market to get hot, and it's starting to get hot. Like, starting to see those setups that I love to see. So,
yeah, exactly. Andrew and
yeah.
I've been sitting on the sidelines for a lot of this year just because it was a bear market. It doesn't matter what you call, everything was going down for a while. Everything is so fundamentally undervalued right now. It's just amazing the kind of deals you can get.
Oh yeah, I've been shopping around, looking at balance sheets, looking at charts. I've been finding a lot of stocks that the equity, like they have. It's good to find a stock that actually has equity, so that's, you know, the money they would make after selling all their assets. And like I'm seeing some insane deals, like HNRC. Oh my God, I'm gonna go over that balance sheet. I just go over how I found that balance sheet for everyone. So I know not everyone knows how to find a balance sheet.
Yeah, I myself, I jumped on that one. I'm more of a fundamental guy. You have a way better technical analysis understanding than I do. I looked at the fundamentals on HNRC, and I was in love at first sight. I
Oh
was
yeah,
like, holy shit, is this undervalued? Even if
yeah.
the dividend ends up becoming a big nothing burger, which I don't think it will, but even if it does, you're still looking at like an easy 4x for what it should be valued at.
Yeah, I was like pinching myself when I saw it. I was like, what is this for real? I was like, I had to tell everybody about that one because it was insane looking and the chart looked freaking great. So I was like, everybody, look at this. Man, that one, I think I was gonna go huge. And who, I mean, I don't know what's gonna happen, but I mean, who knows? I think if anything, everyone should at least hold a tiny bit after they sell most of their shares at one point, because who knows, it could go super parabolic just because how low the float is, and like if everyone starts catching on to it and really realize how undervalued this is, like it can explode like beyond what we think. So
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the fundamentals are already there. Right now, it's really just missing some bigger influencers pumping it. It's really under the radar as far as I can see. Our Discord's talking about it, our YouTube channel's talking about it, but we don't have the same clout we did the summer of last year, per se. Now, if somebody like Moon Girl hopped on this bandwagon, he's still got a little bit of clout in the market right now. He would pump that to the moon,
oh yeah,
especially because all of his fan base is like a cult-like following.
yeah.
Yeah, all it would take is for him to mention it on his channel, and it would get pumped so hard in volume.
Oh yeah, and we're catching this before it even really moves. So like I think everyone's pretty lucky that we're seeing these charts where they're at right now at these prices. Like it's insane, like how low these stocks are right now, and like finally we got past, you know, the last two FOMC meetings and rate hikes. So I feel like we got at least through, you know, some milestones we need to get through, and you know, I kind of been thinking like we've already priced in these rate hikes. So I mean, I'm watching the Nasdaq, I'm watching the S&P 500, and they broke out of a falling wedge. I mean, they're going up. Like, you know, I think no one even cares about the rate hikes anymore. Like, you know, let's make some money, because I mean, there's so many stocks that are undervalued right now. It's insane. I love this bear market. I'm happy it made the deals it did. I know it sucks for people who bought the top and didn't know what they're doing. I feel for you, but I'm hoping to change that for you with what I'm going to show you on how to get these stocks while they're very undervalued and before they move, like what it looks like before they move. Also, I do post stuff on Twitter, so if you want to follow me on Twitter, I do. When I find things I really like, I'll post them on there. And I did find INND before it even moved. I was posting about HYSR before it even moved. I even posted the HNRC the same day. Tell everyone, I was like, this one's crazy. So I've been finding a bunch, and I'm posting them. So, and I'm trying to keep my my posts, like I'll retweet a past post I have, so you can see the charts from the beginning to the current, so you can kind of keep track of what the chart looked like as it develops. And I've been waiting for these live examples to happen. I knew it was going to happen because I'm watching these moving averages. I'll show you guys, because I'm using the 200 and the 50 as my main moving averages, and I'll get into that a bit. So I think I'm going to go ahead and get started. It's about 5 minutes, so, and people join in as well. And I thank everyone for muting their mics. And I am recording, so I will eventually post this sometime, maybe right after. But yeah, so I want to show you guys real quick what I do when whenever I first even look at a stock, especially if it's OTC stock, I will go to otcmarkets.com and I'll look up that stock. So this is one I want to show you, is the one that's super undervalued. It's insane. So what I like to do first is I'll look at the security details and I'll look at the share structure. So I'm looking at what's the market cap at, what's the outstanding shares. I do pay attention to authorized shares, but I think a lot of good companies don't really dilute that much. I mean, this company's doing good, so they barely have any shares out there. They have 30 million outstanding shares. That's less than GameStop, so if that tells you anything. So we have restricted shares is 13 million, and those aren't like traded the market. Unrestricted shares are the ones that we trade on the secondary market. So this would be the actual float. They did not update the float on here. It's actually 17 million. So the float is restricted shares minus the outstanding shares, and all the restricted is the actual float for the public to trade. So really it's 17 million shares. So like the volume that happened recently was like only like 1 million or something. I have to check again, but it wasn't that much, and you saw how big it moved already. Just imagine tens of millions or even hundreds of million people trading this. Like, this thing can go GameStop style up. Like, I don't know. I'm gonna at least hold something no matter what with this. Like, you don't know. Like, things can happen, can change in a matter of seconds. Like, I've seen stocks just explode out of nowhere and it looked like nothing was gonna happen. I feel like this one could be one of those. Alright, so I like the share structure. There's not that many shares outstanding. Very low float. I love that. So okay, so I'm like, okay, that checks out. I really like that. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I go to disclosures, and when I go to disclosures, I'm looking for a quarter like a 10Q. So let's see. Oh, where am I? So sometimes I can't find it on what is it? Well, I can find it. It's over here, but here's a quarter report. So I can click right here. So I'm looking.
Yeah, a lot of times, not to interrupt you there, Gonzalez, but a lot of times you won't see the 10Q on the OTC markets. Just a lot of OTC companies, they just do those quarterly reports and annually reports, but it'll tell you the same thing, though. Yeah,
another place I go to, if I can't find it here, I'll go to Fintel, and I'll look it up here. What was it? HNC. So I'll also go here, and I'll just click on one of these. Just so you guys know, I'm so used to doing this on my phone, so I don't really do it on the computer much. But yeah, I will go here, and there's a spot where you can find it. I'm not gonna go there right now. But anyways, so I just go down and find where the balance sheet is. So here we go, balance sheet. And so I'm looking at total assets. This was like, okay, 73 million in assets. All right, how much liabilities do they have? So current liabilities is $1 million, and their assets is 73 million. So all you gotta do is get your calculator out and go, okay, so, oops, just put in, oh my gosh, so put in the total amount of assets, subtract your liabilities, and that gives you your equity. So if they sold the company right now, they would pocket about $72-73 million. So that's how much this company is worth if they just sold it. And that's, I'm not even looking at income or anything. And so what I'll show you guys is what I do to get book value. So book value is what the stock price is worth. So I'm gonna try to figure out what price the stock would be versus the market cap. So when the market cap equals this amount, the 72 million, I calculated it's about $2.40. So if I can remember how to do the math. So I believe it's, let's see, so that's just the equity. I think I'll divide it by the amount of shares. So there, I'll just do like 30 million. I think it's this way, either this way or I do it the other way. Yeah, so you'll do the equity divided by the amount of shares outstanding there is. And so I did 30 million, so I did 72 million or 73 million basically divided by 30 million. That gave me 2.43. This is not the exact calculation, so I didn't put it the exact amount, but I mean that's the rough estimate, is about $2.40 is how much the stock would be worth if the market cap equaled the equity in the company. So I saw this, I was like, oh my god, I gotta tell everybody, this is insane. This is insanely undervalued. At one point it was at $2. Let me actually look at the chart. Oh, you go look at the chart. Oh yeah, I'm gonna talk about HYSR. HNRC. I think I hear someone's mic on. If you haven't turned your mic off, can you please turn your mic off? I am recording this. Okay, so here's the chart. Right now I'm looking at the 4-hour. I kind of want to show you, I kind of go through each time frame. I just want to show you the stuff I'm looking at. I'll make this a little bit bigger for you. So, last class I did go over my moving averages. I'll go a little bit more of it right now too, give you a sense of what the heck you're looking at, right? So, I can first go over this green, white, and yellow.
Hey, Matt,
line.
Larry, can you turn off your mic, please?
Alright, thank you. So, these moving averages, I use those to tell me, these are short-term moving averages. So, the green one is a 20 simple moving average, the white one is 13 exponential moving average, and the yellow one's the 8 EMA exponential moving average. And these are short-term moving averages, so it calculates, you know, the price action by X amount, like a time period. So 8 EMA would calculate 8 time periods, or 8 candles from this time frame. And then 20 does the same thing. 50, this is the 50, and then 200 goes 200 candles back and calculates an average price. So whenever the green is above the white and yellow line, it's in a bearish trend. And then whenever it like right here, it says when it started turning around, it started getting squeezed and getting together. I'm looking for that. And then all of a sudden the yellow line is above the white line, above the green line. So now it's in a bullish trend. So it's giving me a bullish indicator. You can tell it spiked up after that happened. And then the other thing I'm looking for is this 50 simple moving average, which is blue line. I use this all the time. It helps me predict whenever a high probability move is about to happen. And I use the 4-hour, the day chart, and I also use the 2-day, 3-day, and 4-day charts, and the week charts. So my secret, I kind of feel like they're like my secret weapon is the 2, 3, and 4-day chart, because I don't know how many people look at it. I'm sure that there are some people that look at it. There might be more than I think, but I've barely met anyone who looks at that, and I think it gives me the advantage because I use each time frame to help me predict what the next time frame will do. So I'm looking at the 4 hour chart. So the next chart up that I'm going to look at is the day chart. I'll get to that next. But I do use the 4-hour chart to help me with entries into a day chart setup. So what I look for is the 50 moving average to start crossing below the price on that particular time frame. So we're looking at the 4-hour chart, and it gives me it's giving me a sign that I should start buying now because it's going under the price. And I love that's consolidating, and I love that my short-term moving averages turned bullish, and it consolidated for a while, and it did dip a little bit. I like to think of these little dips kind of like manipulation or something. You know, they try to drive it down, you know, get stop losses and stuff. Sometimes it's even more drastic than that. So this blue line is just right here underneath the chart, and then like it starts getting better and better over here. But I'm looking for this to be underneath the price, so these candlesticks, and that's telling me I need to start getting in. The 4-hour is a pretty powerful time frame, especially for a move that's about to happen. And then these other moving averages, they act the same way. I use them the same way as I use the 50. So this orange one is 144 simple moving average, and I use that to help me predict whenever it's going to continue going up or about to go up even more. Same thing with this red line, which is the 200 simple moving average. And the way I like to use these two is, even with the 50, this all applies to all these high moving averages, the 50, 144, 200. This same thing applies to all of them, is that a lot of times whenever, especially when the stock starts moving, I'm watching the AEMA. I'm looking for these moving averages to start crossing that. That gives me a sign that's probably going to pop up even more. So see, after this cross, it went up some more, and then it crossed again and went up even more. And I'm looking for that. It tells me I need to keep holding. For one, it also tells me there's a high probability it's going to continue going up. And the way I like to view this AEMA is like the surface of water. All right, and I like to look at these moving average of 200, 144 to 50 as like asteroids coming down to hit the surface of the water. And I look at the time frame to help me determine how large this asteroid is, and also how large the body of water is. But also I use volume as to tell me how much, really how much water there is the body of water. Because if I threw a huge rock in a puddle, it's gonna make a small splash. There's not enough water to make it move up. But if it's just a huge lake or something, I throw a huge boulder or even like an actual asteroid in that body of water, or like an ocean, it's going to make a tsunami. It's going to make a huge wave. So I use time frames as to help me tell me how big these asteroids are, how big the size of the water is. Also volume tells me, because volume is liquidity. So if there's enough volume for you to get in and out of a stock. I don't know if you ever looked at a chart where maybe only like 50,000 shares are traded, or even a few hundred or whatever. That's no liquidity. So even if these moving averages cross on a stock that barely has any liquidity, very low volume, it's not going to make a huge move. But if there's a lot of volume, it's going to make a huge wave. And that's what part of the things I look for, indicators, is high volume, especially while these are crossing. So now I'm going to go to the day chart next. So let's take a look. So I'm still using the moving average the same way. I'm watching the 50 moving average come down. It's the asteroid, it's coming down. I'm looking for it to hit the surface of the water, right? So I'm looking for that cross to happen with the AEMA. And that like this candle right here, I mean, it could have been down here. It probably was. It was like, yeah, it was probably down here before this even crossed. But if I see the 50 like really coming in like this, and I'm like, okay, I need to put my money in front of this, especially on the day chart. Because let me go back a little bit. So let's see how long it's been since it's really crossing. It's been a while since it's really hammered down underneath the stock price, because it's been just kind of staying above it for a while. It tried to do a cross here, nothing really happened. Probably low volume, and also is like still kind of high in price. You know, we're in the bear market. It's going down, and then it did a little bit. It did one right here. But here's another thing. It's more of a nuance. Is I'm also watching the 200 simple moving average. This is like the biggest indicator right here for me is the 200. Once this goes underneath the stock price on the day chart, that's whenever like there's a super high probability of a trend change. That's to start going up in the bull trend. So whenever the 200 is above the day chart price, it's in a bear trend. Once it goes underneath the stock price, there's a high probability it's about to reverse and go into a bull trend, and we're starting to see that right now. Like it's like all these moving averages are starting to get really close to crossing all at the same time. See how wide these are. Like whenever there's a 50 simple moving average cross when it's really low compared to the 200, I probably would sell if this actually went up to like 200. I'd probably sell there because I don't think it's ready to actually have a trend change. But now that it's getting really low, I feel like it's about to have a trend change. And look at all this volume, these volume spikes. Like this is just telling me, it's like begging, like buy me. So right now it's the time. Like the timing is right now. It's severely undervalued. It's getting on people's radars. I'm seeing my 50 simple moving average starting to do the cross. And the thing is, a lot of people use the 50 simple moving average. A lot of people use the 200. A lot of people use the 150. But I use the 144. It's a Fibonacci number, but I actually learned that from a forex trader a while ago. He showed me a lot. I actually learned a lot from him. Traded with him for about a year. But yeah, so this is like the precursor of this move is this 50 simple average. I look for this to get an early sign to get in at the bottom before it starts going. And one thing I will look for is there's always going to be like a pullback, a retracement, and I'm going to be watching the stochastics. That's one thing. I don't know, I'm sure not everyone knows what stochastic is. I use the stochastic fast, and this tells me when the stock is in oversold or overbought conditions. And then so like this 20 line right here, this is whenever it touches it, this is whenever it reaches an oversold conditions. This is when I'm looking to buys whenever this this stochastic fast is down here. And then depending on the situation, like I don't really use stochastic to a certain degree to just sell. But it can be used as a selling here, like if you want to, you could sell right here because it's reaching overbought conditions. But there's another thing you have to look at is the MACD, which is the moving average convergence divergence. So it has these moving averages down here. It's kind of similar to like how these cross. You see the green and yellow one, how they cross. Whenever. So if you look at this, the yellow one when it's above the blue one, it's going down, because if you look at the 0 point line, this is the 0 point line or baseline, whatever. Whenever this moving average crosses, it gives you a visual of the momentum of the stock. So green means it's going up, red means it's going down. So this has been going down, and and the thing is, you want to look for these moving averages when they cross that 0 baseline. So right now it's been underneath the 0 line right here, and now it's just crossing back up. That's a pretty significant sign to me, like whenever it actually goes above it, because as you can tell, it's going up. So that's another piece of the puzzle that's telling me this is time to buy, because we were looking at this before, like right before it started even crossing above it. And so right now it's looking really good. I mean, fundamentally, just looking at like book value, this should be at least 240 at least. So I'm gonna go to the 2-day chart, because this is one I always go through each time frame. So now we're at the 2-day chart. So same thing, I'm looking at the 50 simple moving average. I'm looking at my short-term moving averages, seeing when they're crossing. They started crossing here. So was it on the 21st they started crossing? This is another sign to look at. So when I'm looking at stock, I'm looking at all these one after the other on that same day, and just like okay, what signs am I seeing? So I'm seeing another 50 simply moving average cross happening. It hasn't even started yet. It's like getting close, like the 8 EMA, that yellow line right here. It's getting close for the 50 to cross it, and usually when that happens, that's like a high probability that's going to go up, especially when there's high volume. You want there to be high volume when this happens. And also, if you look at the MACD, you'll see that it's starting to go up, and it looks like it's about to cross the 0 line right here, which is a good sign. When I use these time frames, I kind of look at them like they're like a Russian doll. You know how there's like a large Russian doll and then a smaller one and smaller and smaller inside of it? I kind of view it time frames like that. Like they're all the same thing. Let's just say that all the Russian dolls look exactly the same, but they also look different. Because as you can tell, these charts look a little bit different, the way the moving averages are, the way the indicators look. So these tell the story. All these different time frames tell the story of what the next one's going to do. And so I use the 4 hour to predict the 1 day chart, and I use the 1 day chart to predict the 2 day, 2 day to predict the 3 day, 3 days to predict the 4 day, 4 day predict the week chart. So as long as I continue seeing these crosses and stuff, and all my indicators are giving me buy signals, I'm holding. And so I mean, I like what I'm seeing. The short-term average is crossed here, high volume. The 50 starting to come through, and the price is over the 50. I mean, this thing could just explode, tomorrow. I don't know. All I know is the probabilities are there that this is gonna do very well. And right now the 144 is still kind of high up. So is the 200. But I'm liking what the other time frames are doing. So let's look at the 3-day chart. Oop, where did I go to? Where's that 3-day? Here's a 3-day. Okay, so here's a 3-day. It looks very similar to the 2-day. Like, see how that 50 simile average is coming down, and it looks basically the same. It's getting close to crossing the 8 EMA, and then you see the MACD, the moving averages are they're still coming up, and I want to see it cross the 0 baseline right here, right there. So I mean, I like what I'm seeing there. And then I'll go to the 4-day chart, and it's looking very similar. So whenever the 50 simile average, or even all these just start crossing at the same time, it's just like, it's just giving us a higher probability that's going to go. So the more time frames that synchronize and are basically doing the same thing at the same time, the higher the probability of the move happening, and the bigger the move it could be. So I always focus on the day chart. That's like my #1 chart to look at, and I use the 4 hour to help me time my entry, because I look for the 50 to cross there first. I'll show you some more examples of other stocks, but I mean, I'm looking at one after the other. They're gonna do. It looks like they're in line to do the same thing. I kind of see it as like a domino effect. So it looks like. Oops. So I look at each time frame like dominoes. Like one domino is gonna hit the next domino, and that's gonna hit the next one. And I see like my indicators like that. They're going one after another, and also if we go back to my analogy of an asteroid coming in, like it's like multiple asteroids that become bigger and bigger, start hitting the surface of the water, and then it starts exploding even more. And I love it when I see the stocks start going up, and I start seeing these moving averages start crossing the 8 EMA one after the other, and high volume there. I can't wait to get like a really good example for you guys, a live one. Let's see. So next would be the week chart. So I'll be looking at the week chart. So let me see. So I mean, it's looking very similar to all the other ones. The 50 simile average is coming down. Like that 50 simile average is like, they're all kind of at the same, like close to the same area. It's the same price. I love that. And I love there's high volume. I love that people are now starting to notice this stock, and that's undervalued. Like, it's looking good. And one thing, I've studied this for years. Like, I've been trading for 8 years, and I've been studying this. And this, I mean, this is like Like, I don't fear someone who knows a thousand different punches and practice each one time. I fear someone who practices one punch and practice that 1,000 times. So this is my one punch that I've practiced like 1,000 times. I mean, it's probably about that. I mean, I don't know. At least a few, like, you know, hundreds. But this is exactly what I look for all the time. This is the money maker to me. Like, I've tried different strategies, I've tried different things, and I found this is the best strategy for me. It's more long term. I can hold longer, and it's, you know, before a trend reversal. And I got into fuel cell at like what, like under a dollar, and I bought some more after it went up to like $3. I kept buying every time the day chart stochastic reached down here, and like it went up to $29. I think it might break out of $29 with what's happening now with the with the clean energy bills and stuff coming out, all this stuff, like all this legislation. Like, I think it's gonna really pump clean energy stocks, hydrogen, electric cars, whatever. I think it's gonna pump again. And I already saw that happen now, because I want to go over HYSR. That's another hydrogen play. But yeah, so like that's how I look at a chart. I look at all these different time frames. I'm looking to see when that 50 average is going to cross. I'm looking for catalysts. I'm watching the stochastic. I'm watching the MACD, and I'm just looking at each time frame to help me predict what the next one's going to do. So whenever they all become in play, that's when the highest probability for these things to move happens. So I do want to go over HYSR. This is one I was calling today because I saw that news come out last night. I was like, oh my god! I was like, I think HYSR is going to start moving because it's a hydrogen stock, and I already know that they have 52 million in cash, and they had a PR the other day about that. And I looked at the balance sheet. I already saw it. They basically, I think their equity is probably about 50,000 from when I looked at it. Oh, not 50,000. Sorry, 50 million. Sorry. They have 52 million cash. But I really like this one because they have solar panels that they put water in. There's these solar panels that create hydrogen. It takes hydrogen out of the water, and they can use any type of water. It could be salt water from the sea, it can be sewage water, whatever. So they're getting closer to where they're going to start commercializing what they're doing. I'm pretty excited about that. But yeah, I think this thing's gonna really go, like, especially if the hype gets really crazy with hydrogen and green energy. It's like, because it looks like what's going to happen is the government's going to subsidize hydrogen, and that was my theory in 2019 when I bought this. I was like, I believe in the future they're going to subsidize it. That's what it looks like what's happening. Very excited about that. So let me go through the analysis again. So also, if any of you like what I'm doing, go ahead and follow me on Twitter. It's Gonzalecore. So that's how you say it, is Gonzalecore. I actually got that because I'm also a musician. Like, with my band, I was playing the on my guitar, and I played metal, and my friend was like, Gonzalecore, and so that's how I got that nickname. But I really like it. But anyways, yeah, if you want to follow me on Twitter, I was posting about HYSR before any of this happened, any of this move happened. So I was actually looking at it around here, where the 50 simple moving average started crossing. Like, look, it's getting really close. And my short-term moving averages were starting to they're like tightening up, and like they're like really scrunched up together. And just the way these candlesticks were right here, and they're banging against the 50 moving average, like, I'm like, okay, this is looking good. It was giving me vibes of how INND moved up, because it looked like this too. before it exploded, and so I was posting on my Twitter too and in the chat, and it went up. See how it crossed right here? This I was kind of scrunched up. See how that blue line, the 50 moving average, crossed that yellow line? Asteroid hitting the surface of water and explodes a little bit. So I saw that, and so the next thing I was like, okay, let me look at the day chart. And so now I'm looking at the day chart. So the 4-hour crossed about right here. And so now that was telling me, okay, that's the buy signal. And now I'm looking at the day chart. I'm seeing the 50 moving average coming down, and it's doing the exact same type of pattern. And so because both are doing the same type of thing, the 50s crossing them both, I was like, looks really good. So this is crazy. Like, I see this all the time. Whenever this signal pops up, like I've told people this before, is that for some reason, once this happens, sometimes crazy news pops out, like really good news pops out whenever I see this setup. I don't know if they're taking advantage of the setup or what, or if it's just good timing, but I see it all the time. It almost seems like they do it on purpose. So that's another reason why I like my strategy, is because there's times where once this setup happens, like crazy PR comes out or crazy news, it's crazy. I don't know. I see this all the time. But anyways, yeah. So that 50 simple moving average cross, I was looking at this before any of this. I was looking just at this. I was like, this looks like it's gonna go, and it did. It went pretty big today. It went over 5 cents, and now I'm in the money with this one. So heck yeah, and congratulations anyone else who got into this. And right now I see the 144 looks like it's going to cross the 8 EMA, and of course I'm sure there's going to be retracements, and I do have strategies on how to get through retracements, because I'm looking at the stochastic. I'm waiting to see what happens whenever it reaches oversold, and see how high it is. Is it making it a higher low? If it is, and is the 4-hour doing the same thing with the stochastic, I'm like, I'm gonna get some more or add to it. I will give live alerts whenever I see like a retracement. I'm like, okay, this is a good time to add. Like I'll post it in chat. But who knows? It could just go parabolic. So I try to buy as much as I can before this cross happens. Like, and I'll wait for a retracement to add more if I want to add. I have examples of other stocks where they did that, like IND. So let's look at the 2-day chart. So yesterday I saw the 50 moving average coming down here about to cross the 8 EMA. I'm like, and these short-term moving averages were crossing bullish, so the greens went under the yellow, and the yellow's on top, and then you see look how the 50 just crossed that 8 EMA. That's boom, that was a buy signal. To me that's a buy signal. High volume. The crazy news about that bill and funding was at 300 whatever $billion they're going to invest in clean energy and stuff. It's crazy. But when all these catalysts show up and this signal happens, like, it's high probability. It's a high probability trade. I'm consciously just looking for this. This is all I'm looking for, is these cross signals. Like, I tune out all the noise. That's the great thing I like about my strategy, is like I keep it simple for myself. I'm just looking for this 50 to give me an entry point. I'm looking for catalysts. I'm watching the MACD. It's like once you get it, it's very simplistic, because I try to just focus on a few things and not look at too many things. I do not like looking at chat boards or stock twits. I'll look at those, but I'm already solid of my own opinion, and so I don't listen to bashers or haters or whatever. There's always gonna be people talking shit while the stock's down, like, oh, it's gonna keep going down. Like, there's people just bashing it. I don't listen to that, because I used to at one point when I was new, and it made me sell before it even went up, and then it would have been the biggest winner I've ever been in, but I sold because I allowed other people's opinions to influence me. So that's one thing. Like, definitely, you don't want to be anywhere where it's toxic. You want to be somewhere where, people are objective about the stock and the in trading. Because I try to be almost like a robot with it, like with my feelings. Like, I don't. Like, yeah, I will get excited when it moves, but also I try to make sure I stay neutral the whole time. So once you get to that state, it's easier to trade, and because being emotional, it does not help. Like, you won't think rationally. Even if you're really excited, you won't think rationally. If you're in fear, you're not going to think rationally. So anyways, so let's go look at the 3-day chart. So look at that. It's the 50 simile average coming out. It hasn't even crossed the EMA yet. So I mean, it's looking good. Like, it's just, look how long it's been. So it's been since April 27, 21 all the way to today. So it's been, what, over a year since the 50 simile average on the 3-day chart has crossed underneath the price. That's a huge thing. This is why I'm like, okay, it looks like reversals are about to happen. So I'm starting to see this everywhere. The 50 simile average, the 200 golden crosses. I'm seeing this everywhere, and also the fact that the Nasdaq is going up, the S&P 500 is going up. We already got through all the rate hikes, and no one really gives a shit about it anymore. Like, everything's just starting to fly now. I was looking at Amazon; it gapped up a lot after hours too. But I mean, this is looking good to me. I don't know if it's gonna go parabolic and shoot up like crazy, or if it's gonna go up, high and then retrace, come back down, make a higher low, and then continue going up. Make a breakout pattern or something. But part of my strategy is I like to buy at the very bottom as much as possible. Like, I'm trying to buy basically at the bottom of the chart. Like, because I feel if I do that, my risk is super low, and it gives me wiggle room to just wait. Like, there's less emotions when you're in the money from the very beginning at the very bottom than buying at peaks and then seeing it go down and like, oh my god, like, what am I going to do? It keeps going down. So one rule I have is I never buy peaks. If I do, I'm scaling. I'm putting a small amount in. Like, let's just say 1,000 shares. Maybe I'll put in fourths. So I do 250 my first buy. Let's say I bought 250 here and it comes down, and like, okay, so if it goes down X amount, I'll buy a little bit more, buy another 250, or maybe it reaches where I think it's the bottom. Maybe I'll add the rest at that point, or maybe I might do it in 10 buys. I don't know. It depends on the way the chart looks. Also, I have experience, so I have a way to kind of fill it out too, and like visually kind of see what I think the future is going to hold, and so I plan that out ahead of time. So, but it's basically like was it dollar cost averaging with scaling. It's like the same thing, but you're more strategic, and when you're adding, you're looking for buy signals. So after a stock moves, after that I wait for another buy signal to appear that's clear to me, and once it's clear, I'm like, oh my god, like, I need to get more. That's when I'm like, okay, I get some more. And I feel like it's been long enough. I've had enough experience where like like my body actually feels kind of excited about when I see the chart start to form what looks to me like it's about to go up. And so I'm loving this season. Like, this is a really great season. Everything's starting to like move good, and I'm really excited to see what else is going to happen, and wonder how long it's going to last. I mean, it might last a few months, I don't know, but we'll see. So let's take a look at the 4-day chart. So I'm gonna see, go back in. So I mean, here it's coming in hot, 50 moving average. And and another thing is these indicators lag. So like, just because you see like the 8 is down here doesn't mean it won't go up here and up here, and it just, I mean, you don't really know what's going to happen. You kind of just allow the chart to happen. And also with the way I've created my strategy, like it allows me to wait under high probable circumstances where I believe it's going to do a trend reversal. Um, I mean, this one's looking good because I like that the short-term averages are crossing. It's been a while since that's happened. It's still been a while since on the 4-day chart since the 50 has gone underneath it. And so let's look at the week chart. I'm loving the week chart. Like the moving average and short-term average are just starting to cross bullish. I mean, it looks similar to all the other ones. Like, it's just looking good. I think just the fact that the news about that was the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022 is going to put money into hydrogen, other alternative fuels, and whatever green energy. Like, it's going to pump this. The chart looks good to me. Like, the thing is, whenever you see this a lot, like when you actually look at this type of setup so many times, you kind of get the feel of what it looks like before it happens, and it's kind of an art to be able to see that too. But once you do it enough, you start to like get the feel of what it's gonna like before anything crosses, like any of these crosses happen, before any of that stuff. Like I started to get like a sense, okay, it looks like it's about to start going, and it's pretty cool to actually like see that because I've been waiting like almost a year and a half to start buying stocks again. Like I just didn't buy stocks during the whole bear market. I just chilled and waited just for these signs. So I really like this one. I think it's gonna go pretty big. I do want to show another one. We'll see. Let me see. So this is very similar. So I was looking at IND. Catalyst is they sell hearing aids, right? And they made a deal with Walmart. They bought like millions of dollars worth of hearing aids from them. And if you go look at their Twitter, they're posting pictures of them put in kiosks in Walmarts. They're putting like 1,400 different Walmarts. And I only go to a Walmart. They're even posting what Walmarts are putting them in. There's some close to me, a few of them. I want to go there, take a picture of the kiosk. Actually, this stock hits home with me because my dad he went deaf a couple of years ago, and what I'll do is once I take money, I want to buy him like one of their hearing aids with that money. So this one actually hits home, like close to me because my dad lost his hearing. It just happened randomly one day, and it sucks, but you know, can't do anything about it. But I can maybe get him a good hearing aid. But yeah, so okay, so let's look at, so we know the Catalyst, Walmart, and so just put in perspective, one of the stocks that I traded, I still have it. It's an INKW. The Catalyst for that stock actually went up to 15 cents from, let's see, let me show you. I'll come back to here. But I got in the INKW, like I can't remember, it was like over here before I started moving, because I saw news that they were sell their water on Amazon, and then I think I bought a little bit more down here, and it just went to freaking 15 cents. And I think it's gonna do another decent move here soon too. I mean, I don't know if it's gonna be now or just keep waiting, but this is another one I have my eye on. I'm adding to this one. I've seen that 50 something yards starting to cross down here, so that's one I keep an eye on. I am posting about that on Twitter and my chat, but I'm gonna go back to IN and D. So let's look at the 4-hour chart. Let's go through the steps. So I'm looking at the 4-hour chart. I was actually, I believe, yeah, it was like right here. This one I was really looking at it. You can go look at my Twitter, but I was talking about this down here and in chat. I don't know if you know it, but you can go search any of these tickers in Discord with the search button, and it'll show all the the DD that anyone has done for each of these tickers. So you can type in IND and see all the posts I put in there, and if anyone else put anything in there. But yeah, so I was looking at this whenever that 50 semi started crossing, and like I was like, this looks good. Like I was starting to add down here, and of course, just kind of since we're here, look at how the 144 crossed, look how the 200 started to cross, but then it started consolidating, finally stayed underneath the stock price, and then it's just going up. So it's still a powerful indicator on the 4-hour chart. So let me go. Oh, no, I'll talk about it later. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the 1-day chart next. So, and this is when I was really like starting to buy too. Is like here as well. Like I think this is where I really started buying. I think some other people bought here too. But I was watching the 50 moving average just coming down, and like I was buying underneath it. I think I was alerting people like with this candle right here. Like looks like it's about to go, and it went up the next day, and you can tell it hit the 144 moving average. So these moving averages can act as resistance levels too. And since I like the catalyst so much, I'm gonna hold, like, and also the fact that the moving averages are coming down pretty close to the day chart price. Like, let me zoom out a little bit. I know it's kind of a lot to see, but I'm focusing on this red line right here and the fact it's coming down, and then also the 50, it's been coming down. See, like last time the 50 crossed here, it exploded. This one I feel like it's more mature. It's a more mature move up because it went up and then it consolidated and now it made a breakout pattern and it broke out of it, and it's not just collapsing instantly. So
my hair, watch this video, this guy real quick.
Someone has a mic on. If you could turn it off, please. So one thing about the day chart that I like to do whenever a stock goes up and it comes down, one thing I'm looking for to add would be for the stochastic fast to reach oversold, and so it reached oversold right here, and that would have been a time to start getting some. And also I'm looking at the MACD, seeing how it's going down. See how it's not going super red, like super deep red. It's kind of like a little red. And then this is the stochastic is oversold conditions. Like, to me, that'd be a signal to add more. And I like to add either while it's touching the 50 moving average or just above it, because you never know if it's going to touch it or not. It might not even touch it. And one thing I found out, like a stock that's really going to move big usually does not even go below the 50 once it crosses on the day chart. Like some of the most easiest trades will not go below it. So it is possible to use this as a way to place a stop order. So if you're like, I don't want to lose any money, or like I want to have my set risk at this amount, you could have bought here and just set your stop underneath that 50. I personally don't use stop orders because I'm for long term. I scale in, I add to positions. So I don't really like using stop orders, but I know how to use them, and that's one way. That's a strategy to use it. Anyways, so while this pattern was happening, right, this consolidation, I was watching the MACD. I was looking for it to go from red to green. I mean, that's a pretty significant move. It's very simple. It's a very simple indicator. So every time a stock retraces back, like I look at this as cycles. So it's a red to green cycle. So I'll watch for the cycles, and I look to see if it's making higher lows, or if it's a bear market, if it's making lower lows and it's still not ready to go up. A lot of people are confirmation traders. They wait for a higher low, and they will use the stochastic to see how low it goes on the day chart to see if it made a higher low, and it reached oversold and it never went lower from here, and so that was a confirmation that it's a higher low. So That's why people start buying. Also, it's a breakout pattern. And also, for me, I'm looking at the 144. I see it's coming down and going to cross. Like that to me, it's like that's another signal that this it's a high probability it's going to go up and break out. And then the 200 right here cross as well. And so, what I like to see is for this to kind of consolidate more. I mean, it's okay if it comes down and retraces and maybe about 0.008 is support. I'm fine with that. I think this is maturing and it's going to continue going up, but there will be retracements. Sometimes, it might not, the stochastic might not even reach oversold. It might continue going up and breaking out. So I'm really liking the day chart. Also, I'm seeing a cross that's like a golden cross. So golden cross is never the 200 and the 50 moving average cross. So the 200 goes below the 50 and the 50 goes above it. I mean, it's not doing that yet, but there is. I like to see as like a pre-golden cross. It's like the same thing, but the 144 is coming down, and it looks like these two are going to cross the 140 and 50. So it's basically like a golden cross. And sometimes I'll see it just happen one after the other, or a lot of these moving averages cross at the same time. But I mean, this is looking pretty good to me. Like, it's looking pretty solid, and I know a lot of people are waiting for the FDA approval of, or I don't know the full extent of what's going on, but like they're going through a process where the FDA's, I guess they're gonna have some sort of approval regulation or something for over-the-counter hearing aids. So I guess you don't have to get a prescription or something. I don't know, but there's something with the FDA going on with hearing aids, and there's actually a meeting on the 8th, I believe, that I think they're gonna finalize it, whether it's a yay or nay. And if they say yes, like they approve whatever they're doing with the hearing aids, that could be a freaking huge catalyst. Like, this could go bonkers. Like, I mean, it could reach these levels again. I mean, I don't know if it will. I personally, I wouldn't mind selling up here in this area. But hype can really make a stock move, even if there's a lot of shares, because this one does have I think 7 billion shares, but that doesn't always matter, especially if the catalyst is huge. I mean, I've seen stocks with like billions of shares move like insanely. So, but I'm eyeing above this area right now. Just reading the chart, I like what's going on. I'm saying it. I basically bought more at the bottom. Like, I feel safe. Even if it were to come down, I still wait because I think this company's good. They're making moves. They're selling hearing aids in Walmart. Heck yeah. So let's go to the next one, the 2-day chart. So another indicator to me was watching the 50 moving average do the cross again during this consolidation and breakout pattern. Like, just seeing that just gives me more probabilities, higher probabilities that this is going to continue going up. And another thing is, so I did draw some lines. So this is, I made a trend line right here. I was using this line mostly, and I mean, I didn't want to draw like from here down here, but I feel like this is a decent area to draw it. So it was a trend line, and it's kind of hard to see on my screen, but I mean, the way it's going down, and just see how it's breaking out of that trend line. That's another like indicator that there's a high probability it's going to go up. And I'm looking at the 144. Looks like it's going to cross the 8 EMA here soon. So but right now, like that 50 moving average was a big indicator. The MACD moving averages crossing the 0 line right here. That's another indicator that's going to go up. Just adds to the probabilities. You just have to get used to seeing it before it happens, and buy in anticipation that a move's going to happen. So let's look at the 3-day chart. 50 moving average coming down, right right here, hit the 8 EMA, exploded after that. And like I was telling you, the time frame tells me how big the asteroid is. So this asteroid is a little bit bigger than the 2-day chart. So it came down, high volume, hit the surface of the water, the 8 EMA exploded. I'm looking. That's like that's stuff I'm looking for. And like as you could tell, the 50 moving average and all these other indicators, they're telling me the story of what's going to happen to the next time frame. And also see down here, the moving averages, they're very widespread, which is good. They're not close to crossing, and they both crossed above the 0 line. That's super bullish. All these ingredients are just super bullish. So let's go to the 4-day chart. So the 50 moving average, it's about the cross, the 8 EMA. I mean, I don't know if it's just gonna shoot up or if we're gonna continue seeing consolidation, but it's still a good sign to me that this is going to continue going up. Also, this red line here is the 200, and it's coming down and going to cross at the same time. That's actually pretty good for the 4-hour to be doing that. Now let's look at the week chart. So let's look at the blue line. So the 50, it's coming down. The 144, it's about to cross the 8 EMA. This is, to me, this is the beginning of a trend reversal, or a high probability of a trend reversal happening. And I'm willing to wait it out, because when you get in a trend and you're at the bottom, like, you can make crazy bank, crazy bank. I know a lot of you work, and I'm sure not many people can day trade. I can't. I mean, I know I have strategies out of day trade, but I have a job. I can't just sit there at the computer because it's high level, high thinking. Like, you have to think very fast when you do day trading. I do have some really good strategies for that, but right now I can't do that because I still have a job. You know, eventually on a, I'd love to do this full time, as like during the seasons that stocks are going crazy. And whenever stocks are doing bad, I'll just take a step back and enjoy my life. But yeah, so I'm really liking. Let's see if take a look at the. Do I have the month chart? Oop, not the week chart, the month chart. I mean, even the month chart, it's just popping up. So I really like this one, but the main point of what I'm showing you is I want to show you how I look at the 4-hour, 1-day, 2-day, 3-day, 4-day week. Like, I focus on these higher time frames because they add higher probabilities when the setup happens there. Because these same setups I'm showing you can happen on the 5-minute chart, 1-minute chart, but it's more insignificant compared to the day chart and higher. Even the 4-hour, like those time frames are more significant. They have higher authority in what's going to happen next compared to a 5-minute chart. So when I first started, I used to look at the 5-minute chart, 1-minute chart, because that's where all the action was, right? You see it going up and down. But what I learned from other traders, I first started looking at the 4-hour chart more, then I started looking at the day chart more, and I found that Thinkorswim, which is the broker I'm using, I found that I can look at the 2-day, 3-day, 4-day charts. I was like, oh my god, like, that's awesome. And it's like, this can help me, predict huge, like, big moves, because once the day chart starts moving, like, it's not as clear as how high it's going to go. So I look at the next time frame. I'm looking for another setup, another indication that it's going to continue going up. Like, look at the MACD, if it's going to go up. So I noticed some other stocks I was looking at. I remember there was like one recently. There's a bunch of MACD red to green moves. But yeah, I mean, it's been an hour, so I'm probably gonna wrap up here. But the main thing I wanted everyone to see was how I look at the time frames, and be able to see why it's more high probability that they'll look at these time frames rather than the smaller ones, because they hold more authority, and huge moves, bigger trends happen on the higher time frames. So I'm looking for this stuff. This is what I'm looking for. And this is what I'll be posting whenever I see the stuff. So, but yeah, thank you for everyone coming to the class. I'm just gonna end it here. And if you ever have questions, you can always DM me or ask in my channel, Gonzalecore charts. So you can go in there, ask me stuff, look at a chart. I'll take a look at it, as long as like I'm not super busy. Sometimes I miss people's questions, but you know, I am working during the day, so whenever I get a chance, I will try to post stuff. But you know, sometimes I can't. But eventually, I like for many people to you know, be able to look at what I look at and be able to predict it on their own, and be able to just go off and look at stocks on their own and be able to get in at good prices. So just one thing is, you know, rule I always follow: I never buy when it's super high up. If I do, it's very small, and I wait for a buy signal to buy more. I scale in. So like, if you don't want to have a bag that's in the negative, try to buy kind of how I'm buying, like buy at the bottoms. Look for undervalued stocks. Look for catalysts while it's at the bottoms. Look at the 50 semi-average for the cross, 200 semi-average, all the stuff. Look at the day chart. Look at the 4-hour. Look at the 2, 3, 4-day chart, week chart. Focus on those, and you'll see better results looking at those than looking at a 5-minute chart. I can guarantee you that, like, for sure. Anyways, all right. Thank you all for coming. Appreciate all of you, and you know, let's make some money. All right, guys. I'm gonna stop my recording.